Now coming to the second part of our physiographic division, that is the northern plains. The northern plain has been formed by the interplay of the three major river systems, namely the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. Where do we find Indus? Indus in the almost north part of Kashmir and we can say northwestern side. And then Ganga, it is almost in the center part of the Himalayan ranges, and Brahmaputra is along the eastern side. And their tributaries are many, along with their tributaries. This plain is formed of alluvial soil. The deposition of alluvium is a vast basin lying at the foothills of Himalaya. Over millions of years formed this fertile plain. Alluvium, what is that? Alluvium, all the deposits of the mountain ranges which flowed down along with the major rivers and its tributaries. They flowed down, they brought down all the mud, rocks, silt and all the things from the mountains to the plain, and they formed, and then this was a continuous process since millions of years, and then they were very rich in mineral deposits. So with this, what happened? It became soil, and this is called as alluvial soil, which is very, very fertile for the agricultural purposes. And they spread over a vast plain land, and they became more fertile. It spreads over an area of 7 lakh square kilometers. The plain being of 2,400 kilometers long and 240 to 320 kilometers broad is densely populated. That's why the states like Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal and some parts of Himachal Pradesh, they are all covered with this den, and the population, mainly Uttar Pradesh, is having highly populated state, and that's why we call it as densely populated, because that area is largely rich in agriculture. So many people settle down there because of its rich soil cover, and combined with adequate water supply. How water supply? Because so many rivers are flowing down from the Himalayas, and favorable climate for agriculture, a very productive areas for our country. The northern plains are broadly divided into three sections. One is the Punjab plain, the Ganga plain, the Brahmaputra plain. So you need to compare all this from your textbook, keeping the map in your mind. Otherwise, you will have difficulty to understand. The western part of northern plain is called the Punjab plain. It is formed by the river Indus and its tributaries. The larger part of this plain lies in Pakistan. Here, Punjab, Ab, Panj means number 5, Ab means water, and they are coming, flowing different. So in Punjab, our state, we have 5 rivers, that is tributaries of Indus, are flowing, namely like Ravi, Chenab, Satluj, Jhelum, etc. So that's why the state is called as Punjab. So Punjab is the land of 5 rivers. Panj means 5. So land of 5 rivers. But mainly all these rivers, again, they are flowing towards the Pakistan, and that's why the Punjab plain, most of the plain lands are more towards Pakistan, and here we have only in the state of Punjab. the Indus and its tributaries like the Ravi, the Chenab, and many more like Jhelum, Satluj. All these come under the tributaries of river Indus. The sections of the plains is dominated by dobes. We call it as dobes. Next one is the Ganga plain. It extends between Ghaggar and Teesta river. Ghaggar and Teesta, these are two tributaries of the Ganga. Yamuna also is a tributary. But Yamuna is a separate river, what we say, because it is emerging from the Himalayas. So, major rivers in the Ganga plain are the river Ganga, Yamuna, and Ghaggar and Teesta rivers. Then finally, the Brahmaputra plain. It spreads over the states of North India, Haryana, Delhi, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, and West Bengal, particularly in Assam, lies the Brahmaputra. And finally, the Brahmaputra flows through the Bay of Bengal, through the West Bengal, and then again it enters into Bangladesh, and then it flows to the Bay of Bengal, in the Sea of Bay of Bengal. So the northern plains can be divided into 4 regions. The narrow belt about 8 to 16 kilometers in width, lying parallel to the slopes of Shivalik, are called Bhabbar. The streams and the rivers re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy regions known as terai. Here, re-emerge means these rivers or the streams, when they overflow, when the water is more, they re-emerge and always they create the plains into wet and swampy and marshy. Marshy means lot of smaller plants grow there. That's why they are called as terai. The flood plains of the rivers and present a terrace-like feature is known as Bhangar. When the rivers overflow, they flood in the banks of the rivers while flowing. So these banks and these places are called as Bhangar. Bhangar is very rich in alluvial deposits, and they have lot of calcareous deposits known as Kankar. They are called as Kankar because they will have calcareous deposits. This plateau, next one is the plateaus. This plateau consists of two broad divisions. One is Central Highlands. The second one is Deccan Plateau. See in the map, the Deccan Plateau, later we will see. The first one is Central Highlands, parts of Rajasthan, then parts of Madhya Pradesh, Chota Nagpur Plateau we call, and then parts of Gujarat. They all come under Central Highland. Then the Deccan Plateau is the peninsular part of our country, that is the area between the eastern and western Ghats. You see in the map, the eastern Ghats are coming from, they are starting from Chota Nagpur Plateau, and then they are almost ending in Tamil Nadu, the Nilgiri Hills, and then it is joining the Western Ghats, and Western Ghats again they are almost in the up to Gujarat, that is Kerala, Karnataka, then Goa, then Maharashtra, then again almost touching the state of Gujarat. And the center part of these Ghats, that is Western and Eastern Ghats, all places of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and then Maharashtra, Karnataka, they come under Deccan Plateau. Now, the Central Highlands, the part of peninsular plateau lying in the north of the Narmada River, covering a major area of Malwa Plateau. Malwa is the region in Rajasthan and is known as Central Highlands. The extent of Central Highlands is from Vindhya to Aravalli Hills. Aravalli, again, it is an oldest mountain ranges of the world. They are situated in parts of Rajasthan. And Vindhya mountains are situated in the central part of Madhya Pradesh. And then the slope of Central Highlands is from southwest to northeast. Southwest to northeast. Northeast means the northeastern states, what we have. The rivers Chambal, Sindh, Betwa, Ken flow are according to the slope of this plateau. The Central Highlands are wider in the west and narrower in the east. The Chota Nagpur Plateau is the eastward extension of Central Highlands. The Chota Nagpur Plateau is drained from Damodar River, and we also heard about Damodar Valley also. Next is Deccan Plateau. The Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass that lies to the south of the river Narmada. The Deccan Plateau is higher in the west and slopes gently towards the eastern side. Means from Western Ghats to Eastern Ghats, it is slowly little, it is sloping, it slopes. It is separated by fault from the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Fault means here a gap, Western Ghats. The Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast, that is in the Arabian Sea. So Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast. They are continuous and can be crossed through passes only. The Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. Average elevation is 900 to 1600 meters. Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast, that is parallel to the even Arabian Sea. The Eastern Ghats stretched from Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south. The Eastern Ghats are discontinuous and irregular and dissected by rivers draining into the Bay of Bengal. The average elevation is 600 meters. The Eastern Ghats stretch from Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south. The Eastern Ghats are discontinuous and irregular and dissected by the rivers draining into the Bay of Bengal. Their average elevation is 600 meters. And you know one thing, the coastal plains, what we call, here the distance between the sea and the Eastern Ghats is more. That's why you find more agricultural activity in the eastern side of our country. And there is a very narrow gap between Arabian Sea and the Western Ghats. So we have lesser agriculture activity in the western side of our country. The Indian desert lies towards the western margin of Aravalli Hills. It is an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. The region receives very low rainfall below 150 millimeters per year. It has arid climate with the low vegetation cover streams appearing during the rainy seasons. Here, where our Indian desert is lying, it is in the parts of Rajasthan and northern side of Gujarat. So we call, generally we have Thar desert, what we call, because of very less rainfall in a year. So the soil becomes sandy. So we call it as arid soil. See, you see the pictures of the desert, Indian desert, how it will be. And mostly you will be watching them in the movies. See, there are two types of Indian desert. One is hot desert, second one is cool desert. The largest hot desert in the world is in the North Africa, which is called as Sahara Desert, and reaches temperatures of up to 122 degrees. Hot deserts usually have large diurnal season. Go through all this. This is a extra information what I wanted to show you. Cool deserts. Now, we were talking about the coastal plains. The northern part of the coast is called the Konkan coast, which covers the area of Maharashtra and Goa. The central stretch is called as Kannad plain, which parts cover Karnataka, while the southern stretch is referred to as Malabar coast. The plain along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. In the northern part, it is referred to as the Northern Sarkar, with the southern part is known as the Coromandel coast in the east. Large rivers such as Mahanadi, the Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri have formed extensive delta on this coast. Lake Chilka is an important feature along the eastern coast. Finally, we have the islands. An island is what is an island? Any piece of land covered with all sides of water. Subcontinental launch that is surrounded by water. Very small islands such as immersed land features on atolls can be called as islets or cays or keys. An island is a river or a lake may be called as ayout or home. A grouping of geographically or geologically related islands called as archipelago. This is all some extra information for you. Majorly, we have two islands. One is in the Arabian Sea. What is Lakshadweep Islands? Lakshadweep Islands group are lying close to the Malabar coast of Kerala. This group of islands is composed of small coral islands. Earlier, they were known as Lakadiv, Minicoy and Amnidiv Islands. In the year 1973, these were named as Lakshadweep. It covers small area of 32 square kilometers. Kavaratti Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadweep Island. The island group has great diversity of flora and fauna. The Pitli Island, which is uninhabited, has a bird sanctuary. Now, in the eastern side, in the Bay of Bengal, we have Andaman and Nicobar Islands. These are bigger in size and are more numerous and scattered. The entire group of islands is divided into two broad categories, the Andaman in the north and the Nicobar in the south. It is believed that these islands are an elevated portion of submarine mountains. These island groups are of great strategic importance for the country. So these are some of the facts even which are there in your textbook also.